I want to start today's stream basically by talking about, that common topic that's always coming up, and that is the Saudi Arabian money that's kind of like permeating the esports space. And I know it's kind of getting old, and I know it's kind of getting tired, and I know you're probably sick of hearing about it. But what you have to understand is that process is baked into sports washing. They want to wear you down by hearing about it all the time. They want to make the critics look ridiculous and absurd and zealous in comparison to what it is that they are doing, right? That's the gimmick. So if you are feeling worn down by it, that is one of the mechanisms through which they win. And a lot of these issues, they haven't gone away. They're still here. All of the same problems remain. And remember, I want to clearly express this. I feel like I have to say this every time I talk about this topic. But I want to remind people, right? The issue isn't that you're Saudi Arabian and you're spending money. The issue isn't that Saudi Arabia is a worse human rights violator than China or America. If you start getting bogged down into that discussion, you're ultimately, again, losing the argument, missing the point. You're being hoodwinked by the people that are engaging in the sports washing. This is the issue. It is a matter of government control. It is the government themselves of Saudi Arabia that, through the mechanism of the Public Investment Fund, are now directly controlling Savvy Games Group, the ESL Faceit Group, Scopely, all these other, companies and entities that they've bought. And sitting on the board is the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman himself. There is no degree of separation, right? Now, they do make a point of saying in all of these interviews, they go, oh yeah, they don't interfere with our business. Well, yeah, they're not going to until the day they do. And by the way, I've got plenty of fucking receipts on that. We could get into it, but it's not necessarily appropriate. I don't want to front load the video with this yet. But saying, oh, they don't interfere, with what we're doing. Like I say, it's right up until the point they do. Go look into what's happening in Formula One. They deliberately tried to interfere with a call during the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, I believe it was. A member of the Saudi Arabian royal family. It's all being investigated. Go and look at the warnings they've issued to people as it pertains to the Live Golf project. Right? The bottom line is, when it comes time to bring you to heel, they will absolutely do it. So anyway, we've had the announcement about the club support program from the Esports World Cup. I want to remind you of what that was. The Esports World Cup isn't just a tournament giving a ton of money away in Riyadh. They've also put money aside so you can apply for either a one-off stimulus payment or some continual funding to be an official partner of the Esports World Cup, with the proviso, obviously, you're going to enter teams into all of their tournaments, and they're going to essentially underwrite it. And so you can imagine there was 177 applicants, 177 esports piggies trying to stick their fucking snouts in the money trough. Really shows you where we're at with this right now. These are not niche concerns. These are not, it's not like, oh, it's just a handful of people in the industry. No, everyone will take the fucking money at the end of the day. And you can see this was their announcement saying they're welcoming 30 esports clubs. What's wild about this is the original plan was to only have 28. And then They expanded it because they had so many applicants. And by the way, you're going to see some names that will probably interest you. But this was their little announcement video, right? Now, what they don't tell you is at the top of that gold pillar, that's where they hang all the political dissidents, isn't it? But anyway, that was the announcement. Now, unfortunately, I can't show you all the replies. I can't like scroll down. I really wish I could because it would give you a sense of the scope. I mean, I was talking to a colleague just this afternoon, and I asked him a question, and that is, actually, how hard do you have to suck a dick? Like, it's fine to suck a dick. We all have to suck a dick sometimes. I've even said it. I don't even know why sucking a dick is a maligned turn of phrase, right? It's a nice thing to do for somebody else, and sometimes there's benefits to sucking a dick. Benefits to both parties. You might really like sucking dick, and you might get something for sucking a dick. So what I want to ask is, though, how hard do you really have to suck a dick in esports? For real, how hard? And, it turns out you've got to fucking deep throat the shaft and fucking cradle the balls, maybe even squeeze them a little bit. It's ridiculous. I'm going to go through each of these orgs' replies just one at a time. Right, Fnatic, whole squad rocking up, right? To which the Esports World Cup itself replies with squad goals for real. Shout out to the person who replied underneath that with genocide gaming. Which I thought was pretty good. You had NRG, they're in, we'll be ready. Space Station Gaming, let's go. Fire emoji, of course. Team Vitality, not in the program, but attending the event. They're there. Vitality win. Vamos from Team Secret. Now, remember, by the way, Liquid were the ones that were supposedly KG and posting explanations and giving money to charity. Well, you don't have to suck the dick then, surely. Oh, no, but you are. You've even done, look, haha, pointing to Team Liquid. That's us. We'll see you soon. Yeah, June's going to be a fun month for you guys. I'm going to be there this June. I'm going to be watching and replying to every single Pride tweet you make, Liquid. I want you to know I'm going to be there this time. Because last time, you just did it and then all got in bed with Saudi. But now we know it's coming. So I'm a wait and see. Right? Let's see if you can use your apology for social media engagement this time. Who else did it? Oh, of course, Ninjas in Pajamas. No surprises there. You can see, can't wait. They said. Carmine Corp. I pronounced the P. Cloud9, who are increasingly in the crosshairs of being probably one of the most mismanaged big organizations in world esports, wouldn't you all say, folks? I don't know. Kind of feels like that might be the case. G2, fire emoji, OG, in with that meme. Falcons, of course. The Falcons are here. Well, that's a surprise. Falcons at a deluge of Saudi Arabian cash. Who saw that coming? Not me. Fuck. That do be wild. Gaming Gladiators against all odds. Crossed swords. Don't know what they're going for with that one. Furia, just the Brazilian flag multiple times. Twisted Minds there. Multiple fire emojis. They love it. They love that Saudi cash. LGD Gaming. They got stars in their eyes. They're loving it. And trust me, not only are there all the orgs replying, all the big individual like players and influencers, they're all in there too if they're at one of these orgs. Go look, there's like all the Furia ones. There's I'm leaving this one out as well. Loud were in there as well. Loud, obviously. It's like everybody is just rocking up. It's like, they just can't wait to get on the fucking end of it. You barely had time to unbuckle your belt, and they're just there like a fucking, like one of them things you stick on a car window, like, just on there, like, fucking guys, like, you know what I mean? And I don't get it, because it's like, for me, this is like a shameful chapter in esports, actually. This is like a really shameful chapter in esports, that you're all just this willing to go back on. Remember, You didn't have to do any of this, guys. You didn't have to say in 2016 to 2018, partially in 2019, when the tech to raise money was to pretend you cared about diversity, inclusion, gay rights, women's rights. You didn't have to raise money by saying they were your core values. You didn't have to do that. You could have just not said that. But you did say that. And do you know why you said that? Because that's how you raised money back then. That's how you got paid back then. And then after 2019, when we go into 2020 and it's the pandemic, you got to lay everyone off. You got to beg for pay cuts. Totally non-contractual pay cuts, but you begged for them and you said, look, we might have to let you go if you don't take them. So you strong-arm people into taking pay cuts they weren't legally obliged to take to. Then you went and got PPP fucking loans from the American government to cover your payroll, which weren't meant for you. They were meant for small businesses, mom and pop stores that were going out of business all through the pandemic. But that's how you raise money there. And now, years of lying, years of bullshit comes to fruition. This is what you're doing now. Publicly sucking off the Saudi Arabian regime for pennies. You are on your knees doing it in public. Like, I don't know, guys. Unless this is contractually part of the deal, I'd be fucking embarrassed, frankly. But that's just me, you know? That's just me. So, anyway, why don't we take a look at the teams that got accepted? And remember, I told you you're going to see a pattern in this. So let's have a look and see if we can see the pattern. But first, let's just, read out the news. So this was obviously, I'm taking it from HLTV. Esports World Club announces club program with 30-member org. Yes, so this is the Esports World Cup Foundation Club Support Program. Now, remember, by the way, the Club Support Program was sold as being, hey, it's tough for some organizations to make money. So we're going to essentially underwrite and bankroll your operations, right? Because it's tough. So let's take a look at the names out the hat, right? First up, Cloud9. Cloud9 apparently are so fucked for money, they need Saudi Arabian support. This is how broken esports is, guys. This is how fucked up this industry is. And I know, look, I've been super zen lately, haven't I? Like, I've been all positive and woo-saw. Not today, right? Not for this, right? Because, this has to get said, okay? We can go back to fucking Kumbaya or Kumbaya, whatever the fuck. We can do all that tomorrow, right? But today, let's have a bit of fire in the belly, a bit of passion about this, right? So Cloud9, apparently, are so broke, they are one of the first names out, like, cool. Now, I don't know anything about Blacklist International. I don't care. That, honestly, sounds like fucking ESL and how they treat journalists, but we'll get to that later. FaZe Clan, right? FaZe Clan. FaZe Clan have just laid off all those influencers, all those staff, right? Just been rebought after that disastrous financial stock market, that complete clusterfuck of the Lee Twink era, right? They're meant to be back. Well, no, they need money. They need to be in the club program, Apparently, that's the story. Fnatic. Now, listen, Fnatic are on their fucking knees. Sam Matthews wouldn't want to admit it when he was out there talking about his actually, it's good to have a Esports World Cup funded by the Saudi Arabian state because Roman gladiators or something. All right, homie. Furia? I don't know. Maybe if you don't make deals like $750,000 for Fallen, maybe you'll be all right. Maybe you won't have to take Saudi Arabian state money, right? I'm just saying. Just a thought. G2 Esports. G2 Esports frame themselves as one of the biggest and most successful esports orgs in the world. Why are you in the club support program? Listen, I know the answer to that because Fnatic and G2, the ties run fucking deep. Let's not forget, right? Jens Hilgers, right, was a chairman of the board over at ESL, runs Bitcraft. He's turned on the money spigot for former Riot and former ESL people who want to make their own little projects and shit in the past. So, okay, Gaming Gladiators, they're expanding. Now you know why. Carmine Core, again, meant to be doing all these deals, meant to have all this cash, meant to be filling a stadium and all these multiple events. Remember, Jake Lucky said they built their own stadium. They didn't just get a branded refurbishment of an existing stadium. No, they went there and they laid foundation and dug holes and everything, right? Gen G, is this a joke? Guild, that's a sick joke. I mean, I can light up Gen G for not knowing how to spend money and build teams in other games outside of League. But Guild, what the fuck have they been doing? Like, it's fucking crazy. Remember, they were like, hey, everyone, we've got all these celebrities funding us. It's David Beckham. Koi, whatever, fine, probably do need the money. OG, self-funded, probably do need the money. NRG, again, an org. Remember, they also got involved into the Overwatch League and everything. This is meant to be a functional organization. This is meant to be a pretty successful organization with a savvy C-suite. Again, no pun intended. But apparently not, right? Weibo, Weeaboo Gaming, right? Just a big Chinese company, nothing to worry about there, right? T1, right? Apparently they need a handout. Talon, Twisted Minds. There's a Saudi connection there. Na'Vi? Are we fucking serious, guys? Na'Vi need to be in the support program, do they? One of the biggest orgs in the world, right? That have min-maxed since their inception. People don't know. Na'Vi was essentially bankrolled by a Kazakhstani gas magnate called Arbalet. And because he wanted a team from that region to be successful in 1.6, and he was a 1.6 enthusiast because a family member got him into it, he basically gave them the money, paid the players' salaries, bought them a sick apartment, and gave them like 1 year to get their shit together. And that was like back in 2009, 2010. And that team went on to be the most successful like 1.6 team in terms of prize money ever, and obviously for that year. And then they just snowballed from there, of having no overheads and huge amounts of success, into being one of the biggest orgs in the world. Now you're getting Saudi money on top. Don't know. Feels a bit crazy. Team Secret, they were bankrolled, if memory serves me correctly. Team Secret were meant to be bankrolled by a millionaire as well, right? Wasn't that how that was going down? Guess we have to, self-funded, so do we give them a pass? Whatever. Oh, sorry, I was wrong. Vitality are in the program. There you go. Sorry, I didn't even see that. Team Vitality, they need support, apparently. Like, mental. TSM, fucking lol. Like, actually, LOL. Like, Marleek. LOL, I'm scared. TSM were the highest valued esports org in the world, according to Forbes. $1 billion valuation. And you need club support from the Saudi Arabian state, apparently. I mean, if that's true, who's getting fired for that? Which of you executives are going to take the blame for bringing TSM to that point? LGD Gaming, again, just vast. Like, it's crazy how much money they've got. Loud, one of the biggest orgs in Brazil, should be financially viable. Team Liquid, it's like, say, it's like one L after another. Like, Team Liquid is meant to be this org that's, like, been functional. I think they're one of the best run orgs in the world in terms of what they do to their money. You very rarely see them attached sponsorship-wise to anything that's, like, particularly bad or unethical or any of that stuff. And then here they are, not only participating at something that they admit is the state of Saudi Arabia is contrary to their values. They also are now taking money out of the begging bowl in the club support program. Then you have Tundra. I mean, Falcons, right? Why would they need it? You're already funding them. They said it on that HLTV confirmed interview. They said our investors wish to remain private, but none of them have any money from the PIF. And then when Striker hit them up with a follow-up question, they said, well, none of them none of the people who are putting in over 5% have anything to do with the PIF. So apparently Falcons, already bankrolled by Saudi money, needs more Saudi money to get their shit together. Virtus Pro, fine. Space Station, hilarious, whatever. 100 Thieves. Is this real? Is this actually real? 100 Thieves. And we're going to talk more about them, right? 100 Thieves. Again, the esports org that many people want to emulate, right? They are here now. You have that successful apparel store. Didn't you take all that crypto money? What happened? You had the Cash App influencer place, you got all these big influencers. It was revealed, by the way, that in some of the contracts with their influencers, their streamers, they had a clause that allowed them to take 85% of their sponsorship, any sponsorship deals, right? And then they were heralded as good guys because they were only taking 35%. When the contracts would allow them to take 85. Why was the clause ever there to begin with? What kind of mad... Who would... if you come up to me and go, hey, Rich, I can get you a sponsor, but 85% of the cash is coming back to me, I'm going, like, stick it up your ass. I'd rather not have the sponsor. Fucking crazy. And then finally, ninjas in pajamas, because we've seen they've got offices in Abu Dhabi. They've got the Chinese government saying, listen, if you want to play in LPL, you can't have any pro-fucking Ukrainian tweets. So, I've nailed them all last year. Like, they're a joke. They're at rock bottom. By the way, the funny part is, what are you even going to spend this money on, right? And doesn't it really put it into contrast that they said, we're hoping to be competitive in Counter-Strike in 2025. Oh, me does wonder when the check's clear. You're going to run that academy team through every fucking tournament. That dog shit team embarrass this once proud brand, this once proud org, filled with esports history and achievement. You're going to keep doing that until the check clears and you can buy some real players. Wow. So there you go. That's the Esports World Cup program. And it's kind of, as I said, it's kind of like really interesting because credit to a lot of fans. A lot of the fans, they're not tolerating that. Now, we'll just point out, I said at the time, all this was going to end up being was going to be a way for ESL to reconstruct their part, the Louvre agreement, which, remember, Valve have said you can't have that and enter CS teams, you can't have any partnerships, you can't have any partnered leagues exclusively for Counter-Strike, right? And I said they were going to use this to basically give money to the Louvre teams again, and it's a fuck you to Valve. And Valve, I hope you're paying attention. They are literally pissing on your shoes right now. And so what I'm hoping for is I'm hoping Valve come out and say, anybody that's a part of that program, you can't enter into the major cycle. Please do. Take their sticker money away from them, Valve. Then they might fucking start weighing up their choices. Right now, they're getting to have their cake and eat it, and you're enabling that. And you don't have to enable that. You can stick to your fucking guns on that particular topic. And so, I just want to show you, these were the Louvre teams that extended. And you're going to see a lot of the Fnatic, FaZe, Liquid, Vitality, NiP, Na'Vi, G2, Furia. EG don't even exist, so that doesn't count. And you'll notice as well, these are the types of orgs here that actually, Astralis notwithstanding, these are the types of orgs here that would actually be really good prospects for some, for a such. I bet they applied. Why did you say no to Ents? Why did you say no to Mouse? Why did you say no to Big? Why did you say no to Complexity? Assuming they applied. When mega orgs like FaZe and G2 and Vitality and Na'Vi, they're getting the handouts. All it is, it's just a big fuck you of Valve. Right? Just a big fuck you of Valve. And I hope Valve hear it. Let's keep it nauseating. So as you remember, the Esports World Cup support program is being run by Ralph Reichart, the former founder of ESL. Yes, it turns out that the Esports World Cup looked long and hard to find a suitable CEO to run the whole project. And wouldn't you know it, they just happened to work for the Savvy Games Group owned ESL. It's crazy. Out of all of the prospects. And so he did a post on LinkedIn, And I'm going to read you this. This is Ralph Reichart, CEO of the Esports World Cup Foundation. The Esports World Cup Foundation Club Support Program is a key pillar of the foundation and our mission to enable the ecosystem. Having been an esports club owner myself back in the day, I understand the challenges these organizations face. Unlike in most other sports, in esports you can make your way to the top without the support from the club. All it takes is to be excellent at your game, be visible and qualified to compete among the best. And I think it's really ironic a former ESL person is saying that, because that used to be the case. It used to be the case across all of esports, ESL included. Remind me again, who was actually stopping that from being the case? Wasn't it ESL among others? Wasn't it ESL who was saying the only way we can make money is to you've got to pay to be in our league and we'll do revenue shares? In fact, actually, name me the league that stole away slots from teams that did exactly what he's saying, that were excellent at the game, that were visible and qualified to compete. Who was it again that took those slots away and then sold them to other teams? Oh, it was ESL. My bad. And while that happened, the CSPPA, dead now of course, did absolutely fuck all and said fuck all, and even had representatives come out and say, well, what can we do? Anyway, in many games you can do that without being part of an esports club. In football, there is only one way up. Yeah, for sure. In football, there is only one way up: to be among the best at your club, then move to a club better than your current club. While possible, progressing your career in esports all by yourself is very hard. Very, very hard. For the vast majority of athletes, the career will follow a similar trajectory, from club to club. For the clubs, this means that they need to have enough resources and bandwidth to grow the talent pipeline. And unlike in the case of most traditional sports clubs, esports clubs often are or want to be multidisciplinary. Right, and again, I don't know what Blood is waffling about here, really, because it seems to me that the talent pipeline is working just fine. It seems to me that esports orgs are recruiting talent just fine, discovering new players just fine, sometimes seemingly generational talent across multiple games. I don't think that's stopped. That's one of the things that hasn't stopped despite the esports winter. The players are still out there. The players are still fire. We're still getting young players coming through. But okay, apparently the Saudi money is we're going to see amazing players now, cybernetically enhanced players, can't wait. Strengthening that infrastructure for securing new talent and new disciplines they can compete across and enabling them to do so sustainably and long term is one of the pillars we believe will help grow the sport. This is how. Well, first of all, let's stop using the word sustainable about a project where someone goes to you, can I have some money please, because I can't run a business, and you go, yes. And then they ask it again next year and you go, yes. And then they ask you again next year and you go, yes. And then they ask you again the year after that and you go, no, we've spent it all. Oh yeah, that's the same problem esports has had since the fucking beginning. People keep underwriting it, and all the while it's underwritten, no one builds a sustainable business. What you're supposed to do when you take the investment money, you're supposed to use that to build revenue streams that work. None of you do. You piss it up against the wall. You invite some washed-up rapper to a fucking launch party. You behave like a startup, and then fast forward 3 years, the money's gone, and you're laying everybody off. All it's going to take is a handful of competent people. Spoiler, the orgs that are run competently, Mouse, Ents, they're not getting any handouts. It's almost like you don't give a shit. Anyway, these are the steps, right? The annual rewards the program offers are an additional revenue stream that helps clubs create the financial stability needed for the long term so their athletes and rosters can focus on what matters most, being the best in the world at their respective games. The one-time stimulus offered in 2024 helps shatter barriers to entry to a cross-game competition, access to a truly global program with a global fan base, united under one competitive banner, and finally, an opportunity to participate in up to 20 competitions across 19 games to be in the running for the title of the World Cup Club Champion if they qualify. We are overwhelmed by the incredible popularity of the club support program and the 177 applications we received over the course of just a couple of weeks. Oh my God, it's like fucking hungry hippos. Like, you just can't stop. Like 177 orgs in 2 weeks queued up to fucking suck this dick and see if coins fucking squirt out the end. It's unfucking believable, guys, how embarrassed I am for all of you. This led to us expanding the number of available slots from 28 to 30. Thankful for your trust and support, and above all, thrilled to go on this journey. It's always a journey, isn't it? You know what journey I'd be thrilled to go on? How about a journey where we get to a fucking place where, like, the government funding all this is civilized and isn't murdering people or imprisoning women for tweets that they don't like? Or, as is in the news this week, threatening to imprison people if they have an issue with the normalization of relationships with Israel? Can we have that journey, perhaps? No? Just a journey where you all make money at the expense of the industry once again, all the while LARPing as cheerleaders of the industry. Just, I would have so much more respect for you guys if you would just admit it's all about ego and narcissism. If you would just admit, I like being a sports team owner and I will never own a football team, so this is the closest I'm going to get. And I like having a sports car, and I like having a big house, and I like being able to travel all over the world anytime I want, even sometimes on private jets, all while LARPing about caring about the environment. I like those things. Just say that. And if you say that, I'm going to go, well, you found the perfect vector to make your dreams come true. That's it. And then I'll leave you alone. But you won't say that. Now, let's have a look at some of the replies down here, right? Ralph Reichart then said, and I've talked to Ralph quite a bit down the years, and I know Ralph. And, you know, he used to be a fun guy. And obviously, English isn't his native language, but I always believed that he spoke English fluently. But maybe I'm wrong, because I don't think he understands what these words mean. Because he says the phrase, nothing is granted, everything is earned. But you've literally just granted access to money from a seemingly bottomless pit of money from the Saudi Arabian Public Investment Fund to orgs you like. They didn't earn it. They filled in a web form. You haven't even picked the best organizations. So I think what you meant to say is nothing is earned. Everything is granted when you're in the Esports World Cup Club support program. That's literally how it works. Now, the Fudge Man is obviously straight in there and says this is an odd catchphrase as you hand out bags of cash. He's right there with me, of course. Then he said, we are excited to be a part of this and can't wait to get it. This is CEO. This is, believe this is, oh God, I forget his name, Sean Nidus or something. Can't even remember. I've met him. It's really embarrassing. I'm having a Biden moment. But anyway, he's the CEO of Space Station. He's like a big influencer. I've met him at in Vegas. He's a nice guy. It's fine. All right, and then Abdalrahman Farouk. Looking forward to witnessing such amazing disruption to a new era where the clubs are united. But this idea as well, the orgs are united? What does that mean? Why would you be united? Is it not a competition anymore? What did I miss? United how? I would ask you that question. United in what way? Because certainly, and I shouldn't have to point this out, it's kind of a conflict of interest, isn't it, if the money all comes from the same source and goes into 30 different teams. So when you say, can't wait for us all to be united, what does that mean? Does that mean taking a dive? Like, you know, if because it would be really good for the World Cup if Falcons got to the final. Are we saying that? United like that? Don't know. Maybe you shouldn't be united. Just a thought. Nikolai Petrosian of Virtus.pro. We at Virtus.pro are honoured to be part of this initiative, which is definitely shaping the future of esports. Hope our dedication and expertise will help make EWC the best esports event the globe has ever witnessed. Talon Esports, Xiao Zhang there. Nothing is granted, everything is earned. 3 exclamation points. They're all like chanting this. There's like multiple people repeating this. Anyway, 100 Thieves, they actually have said something. They've communicated with their fan base, while most other orgs haven't, and they did it on Reddit. And I want to say I'm pretty proud of the 100 Thieves fan base for their reaction to this, because I think they've definitely reacted in the right way. Right. So this is the Esports Advocate. Naturally, the Fudge Man wrote it up. But there's a guy that I like called Milk, and he's obviously running things. He's like the general manager over 100 Thieves. So to shed some light on our involvement with the Esports World Cup and the thinking around it, it is our ambition to enter more esports titles in the future, such as re-entering CS2, Apex Legends, Fortnite, as well as new titles. In order for us to do so, it is paramount for recruiting that we are participating in the most significant tournaments. It is near impossible to convince the best players in the world to compete for us if they aren't able to participate in some of the most competitive and prize-rewarding tournaments. And this is the exact same excuse that Team Liquid put forward, right? This is the exact same excuse that we have to do this thing that we don't want to do because everyone else is doing it, and therefore they're going to get the players and they're going to be better and bigger than us. And it's like, that's not good enough. That's just not good enough. The reality is most leagues in sports, they actually have some sort of barrier to entry. Okay? Like, they're a joke. But for instance, in the Premier League, there is what they call a proper persons test. And that proper persons test basically is to ascertain whether or not your money's clean enough, whether or not you're a good person, whether you've been embroiled in any crimes, blah, blah, blah. And you have to pass all these checks and balances before you're even allowed to buy a Premier League club, whether you've got the money or not. Now, there's nothing like that in esports, obviously. We've just seen what passes for the equivalent. And yeah, incredibly, one layer of abstraction was all it took for Newcastle to be approved to be bought by the Saudi Arabian state. So, I mean, I'm not saying it's great, but what I'm saying is that there is at least the illusion of checks and balances. We don't even have that. And yet, there are a number of clubs, by the way, that historically have turned down ownership from wealthy consortiums and big sugar daddies, people that have staunchly refused to sell. So they exist. You don't just have to do it. For instance, why is there no equivalent to a Brighton or a Bournemouth in esports? I mean, well, there are, the Ents and Mouse, like I say, right? So you don't need to have Saudi money to run successful teams. What you mean is you want to just take the money so you can bankroll a successful team and then LARP that you had no choice but to take that money in the first place. And it shows you where the priorities are in the industry. They don't want to be Ents. They don't want to be Mouse. They don't want to be successful like them. They want to be successful like, the fucking 49ers in the 80s, or, the fucking Cowboys, or, or Man City, or, take your pick across the Yankees in baseball. They want to be famous like that. They want to have the money and the luxury to make mistakes and eventually just be able to brute force success through being able to outspend everyone else. That's it. And while they're doing it, they want to make a six-figure salary, and they want to have a fucking sports car, and they want a big house, and they want a luxurious lifestyle. And then, when it all comes tumbling down, they also want to sell all that equity they pocketed for themselves and get an even bigger golden parachute out of the industry. That's what they want. And that's what all this is about. I don't give a fuck. You can pretend it's to remain competitive if you want and you have no choice, but that simply isn't true, and it will never be true. You can always say no to money. That's just the reality. Conceptually, We think of the Esports World Cup as a great way for teams to compete against each other across disciplines that will keep evolving for years to come. Think of it as an Olympics format where teams can be the best in individual titles. But there are some teams that will dominate across several competitions and ultimately come out as the most successful organisation. We have been in ongoing talks with a lot of our competitors who all rationalised their commitment to the tournament, most of whom have participated in years past as well, when the tournament was named Gamers 8. So, look at the fucking circle jerk that's going on among these orgs, guys. They are sitting down and talking to each other and going, yeah, we have to do this, don't we? Yeah, we do. We really, really do. There's no other way out of it, I'm afraid. Yeah, we really have to. Sorry, we've just got to take the money. Sorry, our bad. Yeah, you're right. We're going to take it as well, yeah, just to let you know. Oh, that's great. I was on the fence, but I'm going to take the money now. So, yep, cheers. That's what they're doing. And it's like, we're getting closer and closer to just esports just being like, I don't know, I mean, if we're not already there, just manufactured garbage. You know, manufactured rivalries. Manufactured rivalries is one step away from manufactured results. And it should make you all uncomfortable, because it makes me uncomfortable. Anyway, they then go on to say, we do not currently have any teams competing in the Esports World Cup this year. Well, let's wait and see. Let's see how long that currently is. Because I'm pretty sure if you take the money, there's a proviso you have to enter the team. But that's what he had to say about it all. Now, let's also talk about something else. I'm going to kind of tack on to the end here. And this is just going to be the big Saudi rant, I guess. So, I've already talked on previous videos about how Qiddiya, the new project, which also sponsors the Esports World Cup, also sponsors ESL Pro League. I'm sure you've seen the adverts if you've been watching the games like I have. They are also interested in the press, the media. And I've talked about, Esports Insider doing a sponsorship deal and doing sit-down interviews with members of the royal family and saying, oh, this is great. And then they run events and Qiddiya's a sponsor. Also, there is an entity called Webedia, which I'm going to get round to writing about at some point. But there's something called the Webedia Group, and the Webedia Group was it was a media conglomerate that owned the Esports World Cup in its portfolio, somewhere along the line that absorbed that brand. Well, incredibly, if you go and look at any of their gaming websites, which include like GameStar, in IGN Brazil, I believe, IGN Spain, so Webedia controls a lot of stuff. And ultimately, what they have done since then is all of their websites, they're just publishing these like, wow, amazing. Esports World Cup with $60 million of prize. Nothing critical whatsoever about what it might mean or say for the industry, which is very interesting, isn't it? And so this is the other thing. I've been told by people over at ESL, because, I still got friends, even in the belly of the beast. And apparently, they don't like giving scoops out to anyone. They don't really like mixing, but they will use VentureBeat. And this is something that journalists just know behind the scenes. So again, if you got a problem with this, just come at me. It's fine, because you can threaten me or whatever, and we'll just get our receipts out on the table. Yeah? Okay. So VentureBeat is obviously a big fucking, games and news website, and they've been using them for a lot of their big stories. And it's like, I talk about the concept of friendlies in the press, and basically they have friendly journalists that they'll go to and give stories, and they will put their framing out, and they can be guaranteed that they're going to get a mostly positive write-up as a result of using the media outlet of their choice. That's the purpose of the exercise. Activision Blizzard used to do that as well. They had their friendly journalists as well, didn't they? Like how they told journalists first Heroes of the Storm was esports program was getting cancelled, and they didn't tell the orgs, and they didn't tell the players, people signing contracts, people signing leases. They didn't tell them, but they told journalists, and then the journalists kept it secret because they want to be able to go to BlizzCon. So the concept of friendlies in the press, just be aware of it. They've got their favorites. And so when I saw this, I just had to laugh. This is the VentureBeat conference. The GamesBeat Summit, rather. It's going to be in LA. And so I just want to show you who their sponsors are. If you go down to diamond level, right, their sponsors are the ESL Faceit Group and Scopely, which are owned by the Savvy Games Group. That's the company that makes Monopoly Go, right? And then you scroll up to look at the speakers. Mike Sepso, Chief Strategy Officer at the ESL Faceit Group. Oh, Mike! You survived the Esports engine cuts. How strange. Really thought you might have been in trouble for a minute there, buddy. And then Brian Ward, the CEO of the Savvy Games Group. Remember the gentleman who unironically said, I would never partner with anyone that would potentially harm or disrespect my daughters. Certainly hope she's not tweeting about the Saudi Arabian government, mate, or you might be putting that to the test. And you'll see here, love companies with co-CEOs. The two co-CEOs from Scopely are going to be talking as well. Now, obviously, because they're paying for it, right, essentially, there's no grilling. And the worst part is they've made journalists, essentially, that I like, complicit in all of this, you know, which is kind of sad. Because when you go to the schedule, you can see here, there's Dean Takahashi. Now, listen, you guys don't like Dean because he couldn't play Cuphead very well, right? You guys don't like Dean because of Cuphead. I've met Dean. Dean came out, very first time I met him was at the start of, or Doom. He's not very good at games, right? I'm just going to say that. But unlike you, I don't think you have to be excellent at games to be a successful games reviewer. Although it certainly helps. I just don't think it's a necessity, right? But it definitely helps. You will definitely get, I imagine, a better quality review from someone that can get past the tutorial level. But anyway, I like Dean. Dean was a nice guy. I met Dean at the start of E-League. He was really enthusiastic, really gracious. We had a great talk about the project. But anyway, this is the sad part. Dean and Jordan are really good journalists that I have a lot of time for, right? Regardless of whether or not they can play Cuphead. I don't know if Jordan can play Cuphead. I'm sure she's actually good at it. But they are journalists that will not be allowed to ask difficult questions about their sponsors of their event, unfortunately. And this is how they get you. And they've already planted a ton of stories. If you go type in VentureBeat, Savvy Games Group, almost every big story has been broken there. And then you come down here and it's like, well, it's just a fireside chat, guys. Don't worry. Brian Ward of the Savvy Games Group, just having a nice, gentle fireside chat. That's what we're doing. No difficult questions. I almost want to get on a plane and fly back to America just to be there, but it's not going to be worth it, is it? And they wouldn't let me in the building, let's also be real. This is a fucking doozy. Just imagine, right? We've got the Saudi Arabian PIF in the motherfucking his house, and day 2 of the summit they are partially funding is women in gaming over breakfast. How gaming is driving a positive global change. Oh, well, actually, I do want to say, look at this. During times like this, it is easy to focus on the negative. Yet many organizations and developers are focusing on how their initiative and games can make the biggest social impact around the world. What organizations are doing to ensure continued momentum on the social impact front? How can core systems like game engines help accelerate and amplify the impact that game developers can have with their games? As a game developer, what choices or sacrifices must be made to balance survival with social good? That's interesting. It's easy to focus on the negative. Yeah, like you did from 2014 right up until now. I wonder what's changed. Then look, the power of growing the community. What they mean is growing it specifically in Saudi Arabia, right? What they mean is growing it in countries with dubious governments, right? Mike Sepso's there. There he is. Good old Mike. Unfortunately, they've co-opted my friend Jordan. It's sad to see. And look, with 3.3 billion gamers worldwide, the video games industry is worth an estimated $184 billion. In a market increasingly driven by engagement and retention, it's more important than ever to deliver unique experiences and build sustainable communities. Esports not only gives core players more opportunities to compete, watch, and win in their favourite titles, but also serves as a proven method for publishers to grow their audience around a title. Join ESL Faceit Group's Chief Strategy Officer, Mike Sepso, and EA's Senior Director of Esports Brand and Marketing, Monica Dismore. By the way, could think of no one better to talk about the importance of community than fucking EA and the ESL Faceit Group. EA Esports, probably one of the worst fucking run esports divisions at any major games dev. Love to hear what they have to say. I hope they're going to stream this. They won't. Join them for an insightful conversation on the value proposition of esports as an engagement and retention tool, the importance of building generational fandom, and how to bring communities together through a connected experience, just not the gays. Anyway, there's a circle jerk with Scopely. Remember, they made all that money from Monopoly Go. And then just another banger. Another actual banger, considering this is partially funded by Saudi Arabia. Diversity and inclusion in games. Actions speak louder than words. Oh my, don't they just? Don't they just? I love actions. And I love the fact that they are so much fucking louder than words, guys. Don't you? They really do be louder than words. ESA Senior Vice President of Communications and Public Affairs Aubrey Quinn will lead a panel discussion with representatives from ESEA member companies where they will share examples of how they are creating more inclusive games for a diverse player community and showing up for an increasingly diverse workforce. Terms and conditions may apply. What a clown show. Oh, God. Right, we'll keep an eye on the Visionary Awards and see which one of the paying attendees is going to get theirs. Insane. Now, I'll also just say, right at the end of this, because I alluded to it earlier, you should be careful about who you get into bed with, just as a general rule in life. Because, as I've talked about before, it's all fun and games when the money's just coming in and no one's checking up on you. No one even wants to see the receipts of how you're spending it. No one's applying any pressure. But it's never going to be that forever. There's always going to be a cost somewhere. You know, what esports has done is it's entered into a series of Faustian bargains. And it's actually crazy because the whole point of a Faustian pact is you are given the tools to succeed, you succeed, and then when you die, your soul is owned by the devil, right, who signed the fucking pact with you. Esports has done it. Like, it makes you wonder how many Satans there are, because esports has signed about 10 Faustian pacts, for which we sign another one to get out of paying the other one. We go, listen, right, Lucifer, yeah, I got Satan on my ass, so, you know, can you, if I do a deal with you to not have to give my soul to him and you get my soul, and you can also, like, tack on a little bit more money and a bit more time, does that work? And Lucifer goes, yeah, all right then, fuck it. We'll just have a war in hell about it, you sign it, and then everything collapses again. They can't even succeed with the help of the devil, and then they move... Beelzebub, mate. Listen, I've got myself into some real shit with Lucifer and Satan. Can you fucking bail me out, right? And Beelzebub goes, yeah, no problem, mate. Ignore the flies. I haven't showered today. And they sign the pact, and that's it. Now you're out from under Satan and Lucifer, and now you're in with Beelzebub, and that's fine, right? But then you fuck it up again. And then you have to fuck Baal. You get Baal on the... I'll do all the demons. You get Baal on the phone. You go, Baal. Listen, mate. It's a fucking nightmare. Lucifer, Satan, and Beelzebub now are actually unifying to come and get me. So, can I just sell my soul to you? And you can get me... And on and on and on it goes. I can't go on. But hopefully you get the point by the fourth iteration of a demonic entity. But anyway, there's always a cost, and I want to just demonstrate this to you with some news stories from this year that I think are worth pointing out to you. This was the headline from Golf Week, a publication I'm glued to. I can't tear my eyes off of Golf Week. I'm a big fan. Advisors could face 20 years in Saudi Arabian prison if they comply with a US investigation into the PGA Tour and Live Golf dealings. Now, just for those who don't know, and I'm going to give you a very brief overview, because I know some of you like golf. A lot of boomers in my audience. I don't like golf. I find it excruciating. I don't play golf. I've played pitch and putt and mini golf, and that's the extent. I think I went to that golf on the roof in Vegas one time, whatever the fuck that's called. And, I like golf video games. I will admit that. Tiger Woods 2006, probably the peak of the genre. Sensible golf, not far behind it. But anyway, basically what happened was, right, Saudi Arabia created this thing called Live Golf, and it's not technically Live, even though everyone says it's Live. It is the Roman numerals LIV for some reason that I can't remember now. But anyway, Live Golf, right? They created their own circuit, and they wanted to run parallel to the PGA Tour, the official PGA Tour. And so the PGA, they didn't like that, because they've enjoyed having a functional monopoly. And so what they did was they said, if you're in the PGA Tour and you go compete in the Live Golf Tour, we might kick you out the PGA Tour. We might fine you. We might do all of this stuff. And it created this big fucking debate where there was lots of people wheeled out to be useless idiots. It was exactly what the Saudi Arabian state wanted, because people like Charles Barkley were on TV going, now, wait a minute. Why shouldn't they be able to get that money? The PGA Tour, they don't have any exclusivity agreements with their athletes. This is outrageous. And the head of the PGA, came out and quite publicly said he would never enter into partnership with Saudi Arabia because it would be a disgrace to the victims of 9/11. Right? Now, if you don't know... There is an increasing amount of evidence to suggest that there were certain elements from Saudi Arabia that were involved in 9/11, right? And so, anyway, that's what he said. He said it would be a disgrace to the families who still are demanding answers all these years later. Then he did a deal with Live Golf. And in one of the most humiliating public climb downs I've ever seen, when asked by journalists, but why did you say that? And if you meant that, and then why are you doing it? No, he was like, look, we've talked privately, a lot's changed since then. It was excruciating. You can go look it up online. And by the way, yes, he still has the job. He's still in charge for now, but still has his job. Money really do change everything. Anyway, so now we've got PGA and Live Golf all entwined. It's all Saudi owned. And so funnily enough, there's a US government investigation into this. I'll just read it. This is interesting, right? This is the world of sports and geopolitics intersecting with esports. It's very rare we get to do this. Is the thing that interests me. It might bore you, but it interests me. This is what I like, right? So anyway, the direct litigation involving the PGA Tour, Live Golf, and Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund was put aside with last June's framework agreement, but there are still plenty of lawsuits surrounding the controversial dealings between the entities. The PIF's governor and Live Golf chairman, Yasser Al-Rumayyan, is allegedly facing a $74 million lawsuit in Canadian court, and on Wednesday, Bloomberg reported the kingdom has threatened to imprison not only bankers, but also consultants it has worked with if they choose to cooperate with the United States government as it continues to investigate the nature of this agreement. Back in November, the PIF sued its advisors in Saudi court to block any submission of information to the Senate Committee on Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs. Hey guys, they're just a nice, normal startup fund. Nothing to worry about. That's why they're threatening to put you in prison if you cooperate. Now, let's imagine that one day some disgruntled journalist decided to just write to the fucking American government or lobby a politician to start an investigation into the Esports World Cup and ESL and ESEA and Face It and DreamHack and all these other acquisitions that are coming out of the PIF. The PIF, as I nearly called it. Yeah, the PIF. Imagine if someone were to do that and an investigation was to start as a result of that. Well, would any of y'all esports bitches willing to go to prison for refusing to cooperate? or cooperating. Because now, guess what? You're in the rock and the hard place. But okay, that's golf, right? Wouldn't happen anywhere else, of course. Definitely wouldn't happen anywhere else. Not in any other sports that the Saudis have got themselves into and took over with vast sums of money. Wait, what's this? Mohammed bin Sulayem, FIA president, allegedly told officials not to certify the Las Vegas Grand Prix. Now, again, guys, I don't follow Formula One. I have no interest. I used to live in a shithole part of Britain. In fact, I've lived in 2 of like the top 10 poorest areas in Britain growing up. So cars going round in circles doesn't do much for me, funnily enough. You know, when you live next to a fucking ring road, you kind of get bored of seeing that. But anyway, fuck the A19. Anyway, but real ones in Borough know, right? So anyway, what's this story about then? Let's have a look. Mohammed bin Sulayem, president of Formula One's governing body, allegedly told officials not to certify the Las Vegas circuit for its race last year. The claim is from the same whistleblower who accused bin Sulayem of allegedly telling officials to overturn a penalty to Fernando Alonso in Saudi Arabia last year. The whistleblower says they were told on behest of the FIA president to find a way not to pass the circuit safe for racing. The claim is in a report by the FIA's compliance officer to its ethics committee. BBC Sport has seen this report. An FIA spokesperson said, from a sporting and safety perspective, the Las Vegas circuit approval followed FIA protocol in terms of inspection and certification. If you recall, there was a delay in the track being made available for inspection due to ongoing local organisation construction works. The report quotes the whistleblower saying they were contacted by their manager, who on behest of the FIA president instructed him to find some concerns and prevent the FIA from certifying the circuit before the weekend of the race. Asked to be more specific, the whistleblower said that issues on the circuit were meant to be artificially identified regardless of their actual existence, with the ultimate goal of withholding the license. That kind of seems a bit dishonest. Let's take a look at the other thing that chap was accused of that they alluded to there, because this is more relevant to esports interest, right? Mohammed bin Sulayem, FIA president, under investigation for alleged attempt to interfere over Formula One race. This is from March. A whistleblower told the FIA that bin Sulayem allegedly intervened to overturn a penalty given to Aston Martin's Fernando Alonso at the 2023 Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. The allegation made by the whistleblower is that bin Sulayem called Sheikh Abdullah bin Hamad bin Issa Al Khalifa, the FIA's vice president for sport for the Middle East and North Africa region, who was in Saudi Arabia for the race in an official capacity, and made it clear he thought Alonso's penalty should be revoked. Alonso had been given a 10-second penalty for work done on his car while he was serving a previous 5-second penalty. The report by compliance officer Paolo Bazzari says the whistleblower reported that bin Sulayem pretended stewards to overturn their decision to issue the penalty to Alonso. In Italian, the word pretendere means to require or expect. The ethics committee is expected to take 4 to 6 weeks to issue its report. So when you're in bed with these guys, they even interfere with the sport itself. Well, that would never happen in esports. I mean, I am being a bit silly there, a bit naive. Because obviously esports is filled to the brim with integrity and is morally upstanding. And I can't think of any way that, for instance, let's say there was a team that was Saudi Arabian in its ownership, and let's say they were competing at this Esports World Cup tournament in multiple disciplines, and let's say there was something contentious to happen between one team and another, or one player and another. I couldn't see how somebody could pick up the phone to somebody else in Saudi Arabia, someone that might secretly invest in Falcons, and then maybe get a decision overturned. I can't imagine that, because nothing like that has ever happened in esports before, right? So I just wouldn't worry about it too much, guys. I'm sure it's all going to be okay. Then, and I also told you about this, Saudi Arabian authorities forbid speaking out against the normalization of Israel. This is from just, I think, Actually, yeah, a few days ago. Saudi testimony say over 400 have already been jailed for publicly opposing normalization with Israel. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman favors these relations while concurrently calling for a ceasefire in Gaza and endorsing the Palestinian Authority as the Palestinian people's rightful leadership. Now, I'm going to say something that's going to upset you all. I agree with MBS on this in the sense that I never thought in my lifetime I would see an Arabic nation have normalized relationships with Israel. I also think the Palestinian Authority would certainly do better by the Palestinian people than fucking Hamas has, by the way. And so I agree with the sentiment. But imprisoning people for disagreeing with the government, that's kind of the big fucking problem I have with the Saudi Arabian state to begin with, even if I agree with the fucking sentiment they are trying to uphold. It says here, the exact number of individuals detained in Saudi Arabia for opposing normalization with Israel remains unclear. A Saudi who requested anonymity claimed there are at least 400 men detained, and he added that numerous women between the ages of 30 and 35 have been cautioned that voicing dissent against the royal family's foreign policies, specifically those concerning the US and Israel, could lead to their immediate arrest. Organizations dedicated to human rights and anonymous foreign diplomats have highlighted a recent surge in political arrests in Saudi Arabia, revealed through discussions with local citizens. Saudi authorities defend these detentions as necessary for internal security, citing concerns that protests in support of Hamas and opposing the hardship of Gaza's civilians might stir internal discontent and prompt severe criticism of the Saudi monarchy. Now, given the sheer volume of pro-Hamas people I've seen in esports, it kind of seems to me to be something to think about, guys. Might want to scrub that timeline. I see a lot of you, you're on that genocide bullshit. So you might want to have a think about that long term. Because, while you're not a Saudi Arabian citizen, and therefore might not be imprisonable for that, life can certainly be made difficult for you in a country like that. You've basically entered into a universe where you will now have to be, well, not even apolitical. You will have to be specifically Saudi political. You will have to align with what the current crown prince wants and believes, and that is the only way to be risk-free for this glorious new venture that you've all entered into. So again, be careful. Be very careful about what you say, because, there are journalists that might notice these things that you're saying now and highlight them at a time that could be really inconvenient for you guys. So I'd just get your ducks in a row now, would be my advice. And you've signed up to this, so you are going to have to go all in. Just, again, so we're clear. There's no half-stepping on this. You are now a pawn for the Saudi Arabian state. You believe it's worth surrendering your core values and subverting esports to be that. So now you must be that. There is no coming back from where you've gone. This is before, by the way, we even get into the whole thing that's going to come tumbling out probably in a month or two about Qiddiya. And Qiddiya, that new super city project that they're making, Qiddiya is going to be ultimately the fucking... You're going to have to go and live there. That's going to be another little payoff. They're advertising it as being an esports hub where esports competitors go to train and people can go and meet esports players and have interactions with esports org. So you're going to have to be out there too. So it's not like you can take Saudi money and not even be in Saudi. No, you are going to have to go. It's not just this couple of weeks in Riyadh. Let's hold it down. It's going to be months. All of which is to say, I, for one, I'm so happy and proud that this is where we've got to. And again, I almost don't want to do this, but I'm going to have to. So, 100 Thieves, right? They had to come with the begging bowl. And yet, they're the org. They win Esports Org of the Year in the Esports Award. Everybody wants to be them. They advertise their fucking clothes and all that shit before they even advertise their teams. And it goes like this in priority. It goes clothes and merch, streamers, teams. No matter what they say. And I've heard Nadeshot say he cares and he wants to get back in these games and he wants to be competitive. But actions, remember, they do speak louder than words. But I just want to see, what do you guys make of this? Right, this is 100 Thieves sponsors, right? And they say, we make brands cool and credible to the massive gaming audience. And right now, they're listed as working with Lexus, AT&T, Heineken, Gucci, and Crocs. Like, those are huge, non-endemic sponsorship deals. How is it not enough? How is it not enough? Like, I think back to even 10 years ago in esports. If an org had announced they had Lexus, AT&T, Heineken, Gucci, and Crocs as their sponsors, you would just be like, you're just on some other shit. Like, you are just the best. You are the biggest org. You must be. You must be the biggest org in the world. Holy shit, how much sponsorship money must you be making? Like, people would not be able to believe it. And here we are in 2024, and you can have all those, and that is meaningless. Those partnerships are meaningless to the sustainability of your organization's life cycle. This is a drop in a vast, vast bucket. So much so, you still need a despotic regime on the other side of the world to bankroll your shit. And yeah, first time chatter, 7N, you thought I was joking about them putting the apparel and the streamers first. Oh yeah, this is 100 Thieves. This is the 100 Thieves homepage. You're going to struggle to find the teams. Yet they have the audacity to put this here. Did you not know? This is why people in the know in the business say they're a fucking merchandising brand with an esports team. They're not an esports org. And by the way, listen, I'm not even shitting on that. You do what you got to do. But the point is, you've done that, and it hasn't worked to the degree you're having to come and beg Saudi Arabia for money. And then you're going, by the way, once the check clears, we're going to get back into all those esports we used to be interested in. We're going to get back into CS2. Don't, actually, guys. It's fine. I probably can't do this, but I'm going to try. I want to speak on behalf of everyone in CS2 right now. Maybe I'm not the guy to do that, but I'm going to try. And I think I can on this particular topic. I'm going to speak on behalf of the fans. The same fans that spit on me in the street. They don't really. I made that up because I was mentally ill. I am going to speak on behalf of the fans. And I'm going to say this. We don't want you anymore. We are sick of you guys. We're sick of these North American orgs, particularly North American, but it applies to any org, coming in, buying a team, overspending, disrupting the ecosystem, and then when it gets expensive and or difficult to stay with us, or you don't get your sticker money, you fuck off and you disband. Now, we're sick of it, guys. We see through it. We're bored of it. We're not going to get excited when TSM comes back in time for China, and we're not going to get excited when 100 Thieves come back. We're bored of it. We want sustainable teams that want to commit to our game. If you don't, fuck off. You have proven you don't. So, you know what you must do, and unfortunately, it is fuck off. And you must stay gone. Because every time you come in with your wet dreams and your piles of money, you fuck it up for everyone else. And then you leave, and European orgs have to pick up the fucking pieces. So don't come back to CS2 under any circumstances. Stick to Call of Duty, go into Fortnite, that isn't even real, go to Rainbow Six, go to Apex, do anything else. But do not come to our game hoping for a sticker. We're bored of it now.